Welcome back to another episode of the Pain to Champagne podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm your host, Ariana. This is a space where we celebrate trials, tribulations. If you're following the pod, as you know, last week I postponed an episode. There was a lot going on as far as the holidays go, and life be life in sometimes. And I didn't have time to sit down and pod. So here we are, episode 5. I think we're on episode 5. Today I kind of wanted to just keep it a little light. I feel like friendships is something that's been highlighted for me in the past month or two when it comes to, just life and what I have going on. Today I just really wanted to talk about female friendships and a guide on how to spot toxic dynamics. I've said in previous episodes, it is so important to know and be intentional about who you have around you in your space. Ultimately, who is surrounding you in your day to day life could make or break you and could either lead you to success or lead you to destruction. For your mental state, for the things you go through in life, your friends are your core people who you make core memories with, people that you share intimacy with, whether it be emotional, spiritual. That being said, it's super important to pay attention to people's characters and where they're coming from. Their characters, their intentions, the things they do, the way they treat people. Also, you can know if this is a person you're wanting to have in your circle. So, type number 1. And me on a personal level, this hits home because I don't know about you guys listening, but this is something that just really, it's disheartening for me. It also gets on my nerves. I'm human, so yes, things get on my nerves. It gets on my nerves and it's disheartening for me because we need to value ourselves more. But the first type is a pick me. Pick me, pick Misha. And what I say by that is I mean a woman that strictly moves for the male gaze. They dress for male attention. They say things for male attention. They post things on social media for male attention. Everything is for the male gaze. Everything is for attention from a man or to be perceived as a perfect woman by a man. To me, this just shows that one, this person lacks confidence, and two, them having this obsession or this fixation on male attention and the male gaze could ultimately lead you guys into some confrontation when it comes to them battling with their insecurities and things that they're unsure about themselves. I've just seen that this ultimately leads to like a lot of tension in friendships when one person is prioritizing male attention or attention from the opposite sex more than the other. Your motives kind of get blurred down to like daily activities. You kind of just don't know why you're doing certain things with this person. Are you hanging out with me because you actually want to hang out with me? Are you hanging out with me because you want to be around these guys? You know what I'm saying? When I say pick me, I mean like the girls that come off as if they're like the perfect woman, like perfect wifey type, nothing wrong here, cooks, cleans, is the perfect female for a man. And you can tell when a woman is living for herself and when she's living to be chosen. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm not living to be chosen. I'm living for me to live a fruitful life. I'm living to reach certain accolades for me. Ideally, every person wants companionship and every person wants a life partner, but that is not my motive. So, number 1 is a pick me. Type number 2 is a female that feels like she always has to one up you. There's something so degrading and so diminishing when you feel like you have to be in competition with somebody that you love. It shows a lot of insecurity when you feel like you always have to kind of dim your light a little bit. What hurts so much about it is if you're like me, you genuinely just want to see people do good. You genuinely just want to see people thrive, whether they surpass you or not. You genuinely want to see people smiling and happy and living a great life. And it's very disheartening when you start to pick up on signs that somebody may be in competition with you, whether it be your friend, whether it be your cousin, your sister, your brother. It is disheartening when you start to realize that, hey, whenever I'm mentioning something positive that I'm excited about, this person never has anything to say about it, or I never get any sort of congratulations or celebration from this person. I never get any sort of affirmation. It starts there. It could turn into maybe them mimicking you. It could turn into, them making sly comments. 9 times out of 10, this person lacks some sort of confidence and security in their life. You love this person and they just cannot seem to see that you have a genuine love for them. Some people see what you have and what you bring to the table and they just don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to handle it. They can't articulate it. They can't wrap their mind around it. And that's what makes them feel like they have to overstep you or outshine you. This person lacks a lot of self respect. This person obviously can't see or value a friend that loves and cares about them. And this person ultimately lacks confidence. Not something I would ever want in a friend. When it comes to somebody always trying to outshine you or one up you, I would say the best way in approaching it is doing it in the moment. In the moment when you feel like something is off, or in the moment when you hear that sly comment, or in the moment when you feel like they're not congratulating you or have nothing to say. There's no way for somebody to deter away from that. If you're being direct and it's in the moment, there's no way for them to flip the situation or try to make it seem like it's nothing. If you're calling it out on the spot, there's little to no room for any excuses as to why they're doing the things that they're doing. If you feel like the competitive behavior is going to continue, my best advice would be to just begin to distance yourself. Nobody deserves to feel like they have to dim their light to make somebody else comfortable. Type number 3 is the gossiper. Now, I'm not talking about somebody that like you just sit and talk about work tea with. I'm talking about somebody who is thoroughly invested in other people's lives, thoroughly concerned about what other people have going on. Ultimately, these are people that have so much going on with themselves, whether it be in real life or internally, that they just have to shift the focus onto somebody else to make themselves feel more secure, to make them feel better about their own situation, to give them some sort of affirmation that people have it worse than them. I think that friendships that are built off of gossip are superficial, and because you don't have any firm foundation with this person, you don't have any mental emotional connections with this person, it's bound to not last. Ultimately, people that gossip tend to have reputations of somebody that gossips. You can end up diminishing your character by associating yourself with somebody that talks about others. These people are viewed as insecure. If you're happy where you're at, there's no reason for you to be talking about somebody else. If you're content with where you're at in life, if everything is on track for you, if you have nothing to complain about, happy people are not hating and hating people are not happy. You should not be concerned with somebody else. If your life is on track and you're reaching goals and you're hitting certain accolades and you're content and you have a healthy situation, the last thing you want to be doing is gossiping about somebody that doesn't. I would say when it comes to navigating gossip filled friendships or dealing with a friend that tends to talk about other people's situations a lot, I would say your best bet is to shut down the conversations when they are initiated. I would say short responses, lack of enthusiasm when the topics arise should cut the conversation short. And hopefully, if your friend has any sort of idea of social cues, they will get the point from there. If not, I would suggest distancing yourself just a little bit because, like I said, these people are perceived as people that are unkind and they likely lack self confidence and self esteem. And ultimately, this will all trickle down into the friendship. Type 4 is the friend that befriends your enemies. I'm going to say that again. The friend that befriends your enemies. Red flag. Scream, run, crawl, do what you got to do to get away from them. I'm not talking about the friend that befriends or continues to stay friends with somebody that you had a disagreement with, that you fell out with. I'm talking about the friend that continues to befriend somebody that you almost got into an altercation with. I'm talking about the friend that continues to be friends with somebody that blatantly disrespected you and did something so like tremendously bad to you. Somebody that either stirs up drama, is gossiping about you. I'm talking about that friend. In my mind, there is absolutely no reason why you would want to befriend somebody that is putting your friend through any sort of torment or torture. This just leaves the door open for a lot of uncertainty and miscommunication because you're friends with somebody that I'm not cool with. I don't know what's going on that side. Yeah, I love you and yeah, I trust you as my friend, but in the same sense, what could you have in common with this girl that talks bad about me? What could you have in common with this girl that has put me through so much? Girl or guy, what could you have in common with somebody that I'm enemies with? The two just don't add up. The math is definitely not mathing. I think addressing the situation head on and just having that open, calm communication, leading with respect and love, but just letting them know, like, hey, I'm uncomfortable with this situation. What can we do to solve this? Setting firm boundaries and then maintaining individual space if the situation does not get resolved. There's a certain type of loyalty and respect you have to have in order to be a good friend. I do want to say that we're all adults. Not everybody's going to like everybody, but not everybody has to beef with somebody because you beef with them. However, to a certain extent, there are certain people in certain people's lives, certain people that play certain roles that you just do not need to be friends with if you're friends with somebody. I may not click with a girl. I may not click with certain things that she does. We may have had a little back and forth in the past, but my friend clicks with her. They get along. I'm nobody to tell my friend, like, hey, don't talk to her. I don't like her. I am someone to be like, I'm not really fond of her. If you like her, cool. As a friend on the other end of that, it's my job to kind of set that boundary, like, hey, this is my friend. When it comes to her, that conversation is off limits. And if that person is truly your friend, they will make sure that nothing is said. Point blank, period. If they're a decent person and they're worth being friends with, they will make sure that they keep it in line. Setting those firm boundaries is all just an indicator of who is your real friend. It's all about loyalty and mutual respect. If all parties are being respected, nobody's being talked about, nobody's being gossiped about, it can all happen. There just needs to be clear communication and everyone needs to be on the same level when it comes to respect. I think I lost count. Type 4, 5, 6. Anyway, the high maintenance friend. And you know exactly what I mean by high maintenance friend. The friend that always has to text you all day long, 7 days a week. The friend that's always calling you, always wants to hang out, always wants to interact with you, always wants to be involved in anything you're involved in. There can be challenges when it comes to friendships that require a lot of communication. Some people just don't know boundaries. Some people are just very invested in the people they love, which is perfectly fine. I just think there's an appropriate type of communication. Now, listen, some friendships thrive in situations like this. Some friendships can stand speaking to each other 7 days a week, all day long, FaceTime calls all day long, every single day. Some friendships require a little more boundaries, a little less communication. Some people are a little more involved in their friendships than others. And I would just say for me, I typically am not the friend that's going to call you every single day. I think that's a way of kind of lacking a little bit of boundaries. I think we all need space to just be ourselves and have some alone time. I don't see anything wrong with that. I once had a friend that, was the friend where, like, if you don't answer my FaceTime call, I'm going to block you. One of the most unhealthiest friendships I've ever been in is a friend that texts me 24/7. If I don't answer the first ring, hangs up, blocks my number, texts me, I'm going to block you. I've literally had friends like that. And literally one of the most draining situations that I've ever had to partake in. I am not the friend that's going to text you every single day. I'm not the friend that's, going to bombard you with phone calls. This just not me. And I think when it comes to addressing it, I think it's important to sit down and have a good, clear conversation on, like, what needs to be had and what you need in order for your friendship to thrive. Hey, listen, I love you to death. We are the best of friends. However, the communication is just a little too much for me, or I have a lot going on right now, or, I'm busy 9 times out of 10. Just that open dialogue and communication. If they love you and if they care about you, they will respect those boundaries. Like I said in previous episodes, if they love you, they will respect your boundaries and follow suit. If they don't love you, they will question your boundaries. They will disrespect your boundaries. They will cross all your lines. If you don't see that the communication is progressing and if you don't see that this person is respecting your boundaries, I think your best bet would be to just distance yourself from them. I think some tips on fostering healthy friendships with healthy communication is just, checking in with your friends at least once a week. I have honestly pretty much all of my friends at this point, I check in with at least once a week. If not every other week, just to see how they're doing, whether it's a text or a phone call. A weekly check-in, a bi-weekly check-in is the best way to go when it comes to having that healthy communication. Now, this is subjective and it can vary depending on who we're talking to. I really kind of just wanted to have a girl chat today and just kind of give you guys a breakdown on some unhealthy dynamics and unhealthy characteristics that I've noticed in women that I try to avoid. Once you're in a friendship, it can be so hard navigating your way out of it and kind of dialing back because you've already built this intimacy with this person, because you've already established this trust and love and respect for this person. It can be very hard to fall back. Sometimes friendship breakups are harder than relationship breakups. And that's why it's so important to kind of just really get to know people before you fully let them into your life and into your circle. I think that's the point of me having all these episodes surrounded by friendship, because friendships play such a vital role. I think it's so important that I just spread whatever awareness I know when it comes to navigating like who should be your friend and who shouldn't be your friend. I encourage you guys to reflect on your relationships with a conscious mind and make healthy choices, healthy connections. Have those tough conversations. Don't shy away from them. Lead with respect. Just make sure you're always keeping your well-being and your personal growth in the back of your mind. I hope I was able to impact somebody with this episode. You can follow us on all streaming platforms and social medias at Pain to Champagne Pod or Podcast. We're also on YouTube if you want to catch me live and in action. That is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you for showing me so much love. Pain to Champagne Pod, it's a wrap.